NASCAR kicks off its regular season at the biggest event on the planet. Welcome to the greatest spectacle in racing and the Great American Race. It's the Daytona 500 here in Florida at the Daytona International Speedway. Let's take a look at the track then. It's all about getting a good entry into turns 3 and 4 to really build up the speed. This is going to be crucial as the race goes on and in the single lap qualifying format. High line as you swoop in towards the tri-oval section. Keep it high, small turn as you hit the banking across the control line. Now keep your foot pinned down, approaching up already at 195 miles per hour as you approach turn 1. Light turns, bring it down low, really hug the inside low line of the banking. Sometimes as well, you get a little bit of oversteer, just got to correct in terms of drafting as well. You've got to be careful. Is someone above you? Is someone behind you? That's going to give you a bump that couldn't settle the rear of the car, especially drifting down the back stretch in towards turn 3 and 4. Same approach as turns 1 and 2. Take a nice high line in and sweep down low to really get the best of the line. Careful, because where the banking hits the pavement road or the flat surface, there's a nasty bump. Get on that, you'll be spun round. There's a pit entry as well to dive in if you need a stop. We're expecting a lot of those on Sunday. Cross the line, and that's a lap of the Daytona International Speedway. And welcome back, everybody listening on USRN, and welcome to everyone joining us on YouTube on JB Motorsports. Welcome to the start of the Great American Race. It's the Daytona Speedweeks here at the Daytona International Speedway, and coming up in around about 10 minutes time is qualifying. Single lap, could be 2 lap, fingers crossed. Let's see how far we will go. But a total of 42 cars will venture out onto this speedway of 2.5 miles to see who will lock in pole position and P2 on the grid. Then tomorrow we go into the duels as well. And alongside me in the commentary box as well, sharing the mic throughout the season, myself and Matthew Owens at USRN as well. We've already introduced everyone to USRN. Now we've introduced everyone on JB Motorsports. But this year we are going to be splitting the commentary. I did not want to take on a full season after covering 14 other series. And I said to Matthew, look, I already cover some races. Let's team up, bring every single lap, and let's see what we can do. And I'm looking forward to it. So, Matthew, I'll hand the reins back over to you. This is going to be a fun season. It starts here.
Yes, it is going to be an incredible season. So happy to be linking up well and truly with you and your entire crew that does such a great job. So let's talk about what we're going to see tonight in Daytona 500 qualifying. This is a very important night for 2 groups of drivers. There's a group of drivers that believe they have a chance to win the pole or sit on the front row for Sunday's Daytona 500. Those are the drivers that's going to be at the top of the timing sheets tonight. There's also a group of 6 drivers that you're going to hear us talk about all night as open cars. The open cars, the open drivers, they are competing just to make it into the Daytona 500. So, a lot of what we're doing this year with the combination of USRN and JB Motorsports is the hope to bring in new fans to NASCAR around the world. If you are tuning in and you're new to NASCAR and certainly new to the process of setting the field for the Daytona 500, we promise we're not trying to confuse you, but for 66 years, the process of setting the field for just this race has been different than every other race. Let's make it as simple as we possibly can. The 6 open drivers tonight: Kaz Gralla, J.J. Yaley, David Reagan, Anthony Alfredo, B.J. McLeod, and Jimmy Johnson. Of those 6 drivers, the fastest 2 from that 6 will be in the Daytona 500 for sure on Sunday. Then tomorrow night, the 4 that have not yet locked themselves into the field will run with everybody else in one of 2 Daytona 500 qualifying races, which we'll have for you here on JB Motorsports and USRN. 2 more will lock themselves in through those races, while the other 2 that don't will go home and miss the race. That's the importance of tonight of getting into the field for 2 of those 6 drivers, Josh. But also, at the top end of town, 2 drivers will secure a spot on the front row of the starting grid. But we have absolutely no idea who that may be, because the first laps that they turn tonight will be the first laps they've turned with these cars on this track this year. There's been no lead-up practice.
No, and it's quite unusual to have that as well. Usually we have like a shakedown on the track before, but it's ever since really the pandemic hit that we don't go into now a practice session. We go straight into qualifying, then we do some dual racing, and then we'll say, oh, let's do some practice sessions. There's 2 before the main race on Sunday for the 500. But this is our 66th attempt at doing the Daytona 500 during that time as well. That's 65 previous races, and in that time, there's been 64 pole sitters. It's ridiculous how many times it's been set without having to have the qualifying format just once. So I'm really looking forward to this, really hoping we're going to have a good run. Now, I was just on with our fellow colleagues at Grid Network, and Matt White said as well that he's expecting Jimmy Johnson to be up there as one of the 2 locked in, whether it's pole position or not. I think that's an incredibly brave choice, but he did bring up facts about previous drivers in their farewell seasons getting pole positions as well. So I can kind of see what he's on about, but Jimmy Johnson, who in the last couple of years hasn't had a great time in IndyCar, coming back into NASCAR to do a handful of races, of course, down at the Legacy Motorsport, he's our 41st entry as well. He's not automatic, don't forget.
Yeah, he's absolutely not, and you would certainly think a driver of the stature of Jimmy Johnson and the team of Legacy Motor Club would be fast enough to lock in tonight, but Toyota has never won the pole for the Daytona 500 before, and traditionally, over these last couple of years, they have not qualified very well on these super speedways in the single-car qualifying runs. They put a lot of focus on drafting well and racing well, but on qualifying day or qualifying night, Toyota has not been reaping a lot of benefits in the single-car run. So we'll see if Jimmy Johnson can lock himself in tonight. Of course, you've got a Ford and David Reagan, a 3rd entry for RFK Racing. He's a terrific super speedway racer. What will his car perform like tonight in the single car conditions? Also the Ford of Kaz Grala. Then, of course, Josh, we have the story of the 44 team for the New York Racing Team. They have only just named a driver for that car this morning. It's J.J. Yaley out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, on the official entry list that was published on the 12th, so 2 days ago, it just registers as TBA as well. But nice that they've finally announced it on the morning. It was sort of crucial, wasn't it? They have to qualify. They can't just go into the duels and then hope they get in. They had to do the qualifying part, which is what we were seeing, actually, because... Well, who was the driver just before we came on here that was failing the ride height several times and the inspections?
Yeah, Alex Bowman.
Yeah.
His car failed inspection twice, and of course that's huge because he's one of the perceived favorites for the pole.
I've got this feeling that we're going to see something unexpected tonight as well, because that's how it always likes to play us. It's not the big event just yet, but there's always people who tune in, I think, to Daytona Speedweeks more than the 500, because it's about how fast can you go. The 500 is about getting to the end of the race. Speedweeks, it's like literally pedal to the metal. How fast can you go? It's more traditional, I think, as well. Going back to the origins of NASCAR, which was bootlegging, just quickly put pedal down to the metal. I have really been sitting back over the years, watching NASCAR, really enjoying it. I've gone from being a sofa watcher to now coming into the commentary box and deciding, do you know what, let's do it. Because we cover so many other series, both on USRN and JB Motorsports, so many other different forms of motorsports. I know you guys at USRN have done NASCAR since the year dot, and I've been on the coverage for a couple of years doing Daytona 500s and odd races. But first year properly in the box for a consecutive number of races. I'm in Atlanta next week doing it as well. Then I think I hand over to you for race 3. And it's like, I can't wait to just see how this year develops. And I've got this feeling that we're in for something special. The Clash surprised me as well. Denny Hamlin taking it. But he'd never been off the podium. He was third, second, and then first. So he's gone up and up and up. in the Clash. Going forward as well, Kyle Busch and then Ryan Blaney going there, second and third. They proved at the Clash that they've got a much better system of working up the field, especially, I think, would be said for Kyle Larson, who kept going up and down on that. Alex Bowman, the same. He was just having problems as well in the area. So I'm looking forward to this qualifying session. And we've got the list of who's going up first, second, third, etc. So we'll be able to talk through it insanely quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And this qualifying session, once it gets started here in about 4 minutes, is when first car is due out. This qualifying session goes by a lot quicker these days than it once did. You now only get one timed lap each round. Now, there's 2 rounds. We'll explain that as we go on. But you only get one timed lap per run. We used to run a warm-up lap, then we'd run a first lap, which was a throwaway lap because you were still building speed, and then you ran your second lap, and then they wouldn't let the next car go out onto the track until the other car had coasted to pit road. This used to be a 4 or 5 hour processional Daytona 500 qualifying. Tonight it will go by very quick because there's only the one lap that you make, and they will send cars out. Once one car has made it to turn 3, they'll send another car off of pit road to try to keep them a half lap apart. So it goes by much quicker these days. We expect an hour and a half, certainly max 2 hours tonight. And we'll figure it out pretty quickly. But you mentioned, and you can see on the screen if you're watching on YouTube with us, you can see the order of what the cars will go out, the order of which they'll go out. We don't really have any perceived heavy hitters right away, but we do have some open cars going early in David Reagan and J.J. Yaley, so they will set the benchmark for the open cars. I do see a comment in the chat section on YouTube, how many cars get in. So there's a car here for 40 positions, so you'll have 2 of those 6 open cars lock in tonight. 2 will lock in tomorrow night, and 2 will go home.
Track noise has finally come in as well, so we can hear what's happening out there. We'll hear the engines running around. I'm sort of now starting to feel it, and I don't know if it's similar to the Indy 500 feeling that we get, because I think with the Indy 500, we go through 3 or 4 days of practice of 8 hours. We sort of get really excited going into qualifying. Here, for the Daytona 500, you sort of just like, oh, okay, we're qualifying now, are we? And then oh, tomorrow we're racing, aren't we, for the first time? Oh, then we're practicing. It's such a disorganized way of going around it. I really do think it's going to be fun. So loud at the moment, that Fox International feed I've got in my ear. So I've just turned it down while they're playing music. But which do you prefer, Matthew? Do you prefer the Indy 500 qualifying or the Daytona 500 qualifying? I'm asking the big questions first.
Now, what do you think my answer to that's going to be?
I think it's going to be, I hope it's going to be Indy.
Yes, it's absolutely Indian. Yes, everything Indianapolis does, I hop on. But no, in all seriousness, to give an objective answer, I'm one of the people that's not pleased with how speed weeks have gone. We normally were here for about 10 days with a ton of practice, and then we'd run the Bud Shootout or the Busch Clash, whatever you remember it being, and then we'd qualify for the 500, and then we'd practice for another week and get set up for the 500. A lot of people thought that was overkill, and maybe it was to some point, but I do think we do need to have at least one practice session pre-qualifying, and we need practice pre-dual races as well, because we talk about how the first lap that they're turning in these cars are tonight, but when the green flag drops in those qualifying races tomorrow night, they will not have any time in these cars in a draft, and they're going to take the green flag tomorrow night with 21 cars in each of those dual races. NASCAR's been trying to save the team's money. I get it, but we have to have some practice, and just from the build-up point, Josh, you know how big races go, whether it's Indianapolis or Bathurst or Monaco or whatever it may be. Practice is a natural build-up to the emotion of a big race.
Yeah, and this is one thing I was on about, because we sit down and we cover 8 hours for 4 or 5 days of the Indianapolis 500, and you sort of get, oh God, tomorrow it's qualifying. Can we sleep? Can we get ready? Who's gonna be bumped? Who's gonna make it through? It's all confusing as Fox. I'm very thankful actually because me and Matthew have access to the NASCAR media. I don't know if you've got this, Matthew, but I've got the running order, so I know exactly when they're going on ad breaks. I've got a stopwatch running, and it's every 6 minutes they're going to go to ads, just to let everybody know. So that's why we're going to go up and down with the track audio. We haven't got the international feed until the 500 on Sunday, although we might have it tomorrow for the duels. I'm not too sure for the international feed, but my train of thought's gone. But no, I agree. We need a practice session beforehand. I feel like we're rushing into it a bit too much. It's all because of the pandemic. When we came back, we just went straight into the racing, didn't we? In fact, the first race, was it? Where were we? Was it Darlington? No.
Darlington.
Yeah, it was Darlington. Oh, good. My memory's good. I've been watching for a very long time, as I say, but broadcasting is going to be tricky. First race back at Darlington, they got off the truck, put some tyres on it, out they went. That was it, race time. And it was based on the number order of the championship. Because, of course, we were at the time, because we ran the Daytona 500, and then I think we got, what was it? We got 6 races in, and then it all locked down?
Yeah, 4 or 5, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, you're right.
Back in 2020, so it's all good. If you're listening, by the way, on JB Motorsports, hopefully we've got a little bit of a interesting thing that we're trying to work on to get out before Sunday's main race. Last year for USRN, we were on the commentary call together. You were leading, of course, Matthew. I was down in the pit lane for that one. But I recorded the timing screen. So we're trying to get it all linked up so that we can have a throwback before the main race on Sunday.
Oh, wow. How about that?
So it's work in progress, but fingers crossed it's going to work, because that way everyone can get used to how it's going to work this year.
Well, that'll be a lot of fun. By the way, I do want to mention this because I have not yet, to everyone listening, wherever you're listening from, however you're listening, a reminder that there's 2 rounds of qualifying tonight, which is totally unnecessary if you ask me, but this is how we do it. The 42 cars will go out in the order that they drew earlier this morning. We talked about how the open cars can lock themselves in. The top 10, so the 10 fastest from the first round, will advance to a second round, and those 10 will then run another lap, and then the fastest 10 will make up the order. But again, only the top 2 starting spots get locked into the grid tonight, and then we'll have qualifying races tomorrow night. Again, Daytona 500 qualifying has been unique and complicated for ages, since the beginning of time. It's just tradition. It's how we do it. We won't do this again all season long. The next time we'll do this after tonight is for the 500 next year.
So basically, just go with it. That's why we're covering it as well. Usually at this point, the practice and qualifying sessions, at least on JB Motorsports, would be taken by there's a slip of the tongue, by NASCAR Radio. It's because we had Ryan Marine on at the Rolex 24 Hours. It's thrown my head off. But yeah, NASCAR Radio would take us through the practice and qualifying sessions, and then we'd come in for the race on the Sunday. And then, of course, it's not the only coverage. We're here on JP Motorsports, we're covering the Cup Series only, but on USRN, you're doing Xfinity and Cups and probably even ARCA, and you moved to the Mexico race back at the Clash, so you've just pretty much covered anything you can.
Yeah, we'll do some select races from the Xfinity and Truck Series throughout the year. We will have both of those races from Daytona this weekend, God willing, if the weather works with us. Everywhere you go in NASCAR land, you got to hope the weather works with you. And
I know.
Certainly here at Daytona, since we're right on the edge of a beach.
Matt White was already torturing me earlier, but when we went off air on the Grid Tonight show, he was saying about, I just checked the weather forecast. Oh, yeah, it's rain predicted during the daytime at Daytona, but it's okay at the evening.
You know what's annoying? You know what's super annoying about it is because it's Daytona, and it's quite literally, if you haven't seen it on a map, it is quite literally alongside a beach. We are just a few miles inland from a beach. So the problem is you can look at 5 different forecasts and get 5 totally different answers of what it's going to be like Saturday and Sunday. I can look on my weather app right now, and it will tell me it's going to rain all day Sunday. Then you go on to Google, and it says, it looks pretty good, starting at about 3 or 4 o'clock Sunday. Oh, what do you believe? Who in the world knows?
Should we have an interview? Jamie Little down there in the pit lane. We may as well throw it down.
Yeah, just looking forward to getting the season started. It's, Speed Weeks is an exciting time. If you're a race fan, I consider myself a race fan, so I'm excited to be here. I think, Hendrick Motorsports as a whole has always had a lot of success, throughout qualifying over the years for the 500. We'd love to continue that, but we'd really love to be good on Sunday. So we hope we can get our Napa Chevy to do both, and I think we can. So looking forward to getting the season rolling and trying to get off to a good start.
All right, good luck to you.
Thanks.
All right, let's go over to Josh Sims.
Hey, with 2015 Daytona 500 winner Joey Logano. And as we get set for qualifying, as we head into this new season, and you got the new body with the car, as you go for the pole, what can you learn out there tonight to help you going forward?
Always just kind of learn what you got at this point, at least from speed. It's so hard, right? You go out there, no practice. You hope that, the setup's close and that we're not hitting the track and we're maximizing everything, but you can't adjust it much. I mean, you get maybe a couple little things, but not really in between the rounds. So pretty challenging night, but it's kind of what makes this night so special is that these guys have been working all winter on these cars, and it's really, honestly, tonight's about the team. It's a real good measuring stick to see where your super speedway program is, and we'll figure out more about the Dark Horse Mustang as we continue throughout Speed Week and also into the first few races.
Appreciate your time and good luck, Joey. Mike?
I think that was Chase Elliott, wasn't it?
You heard it there. Goodness gracious, they really going to another break.
Yep, 6 minutes.
Said the was going to roll off at 8:15, and obviously that was not true. Oh, this is why you make people mad. You come on air for 8 o'clock qualifying, and it's 8:23, and you haven't even had a car on the track. Anyhow, you heard Joey mention there a new Dark Horse Mustang is what it's being called. It is an interesting part of this, and going back to no practice, all the Ford and Toyota teams are hitting the track tonight with new bodied cars. There's a new Toyota Camry this year, and then there's the new Ford, the Ford Dark Horse Mustang, which looks magnificent, and that's a tremendous name, Dark Horse Mustang. That just sends shivers down your spine. But they don't know how it's going to drive, and they're putting it out there for qualifying starting tonight and then in a race tomorrow. The Fords, particularly, who we heard from there, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, they are some of the best super speedway racers we have and some of the most aggressive, especially in Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski. They are very aggressive on these super speedways. They are aggressive pushers as well in the draft. And, of course, such an important part to pushing in the draft is how the front nose aligns with the rear nose of the car or the rear end of the car in front of you. And we just don't know how that's going to work, and we won't until tomorrow when we drop the green flag for the qualifying races.
Yeah, it's really weird that we've got this we sort of had the shakedown, didn't we, at the Clash of the Colosseum, which told us absolutely nothing. We try and pick little bits out of it, but I've got the speed running here. What was it? Average speed, 32.97 miles an hour.
Yeah. See, the Clash, all the hand-wringing over the Clash just makes zero sense to me. Just take it for what it is. It is an exhibition race. You are drawing zero conclusions from the Clash to the upcoming season. There's just none.
That's why I said it was just a pre-season test to make sure everything was okay with the broadcast. But we know what went wrong. We fixed what went wrong. And hopefully I won't be swearing on lap 3, which was the case last time.
You start swearing here if they don't put a car on the track. It is almost half past the hour. Come on.
I mean, it's worse. It's worse for me. It's 1:25 a.m.
Just the
Green.
The semantics. Oh, thank God. The semantics of saying that you're going to start this at 8, then you tell everybody, no, it's 8:15. Now it's 8:25 and we have nothing. But we are about to have the first car on the track. Thank heavens. Carson Hocevar, one of our rookies, going to hit the track first here to open up qualifying here at Daytona. And Hocevar is a very interesting story, Josh. driving for Spire Motorsports, one of the underfunded TJ Maxx budget teams, if you will, for the sport. But Hocevar is a terrific talent, 4 times a winner in the NASCAR Truck Series division last year. Now makes the step up to Cup. He did make 9 starts in the Cup Series last year for a couple of different teams, including Legacy Motor Club. And now here he is with a lot of talent underneath the helmet of that number 77 Chevrolet. Very raw driver. He's ticked a lot of people off in the past. People want him to calm down a little bit, but he's got a ton of talent, no doubt about that.
It's exactly what we need as well, bringing in someone who needs to be... He's rough around the edges, but then he can just get filed down in the Cup Series as well. Really see what we're happening as he takes the green flag and he starts the qualifying round here at Daytona. Good through the first couple of corners there. Now it's turn 3, isn't it, that they'll be allowed the next car on the track, which is Anthony Alfredo. But already that Chevy does not look entirely planted through 1 and 2, and it almost looks like it's stepping up a bit coming down the back stretch.
And of course, with it just being 1 lap, they will hug the bottom right against that double yellow line, shortest distance around the track. This is very much, we've heard it for ages, anybody can sit inside that car and qualified at Daytona. The drivers do very minimal in qualifying at Daytona. This is all about the team. And Hocevar, the car porpoising a little bit on the exit of turn 4, but heading towards the checkered flag, and we'll see the time that gets put up for Carson Hocevar for Spire Motorsports.
Time at 50.589, speed at 177.904. Not going to break any records since we went down to the 1 format. Record here, of course, for speed. I've got it written down on my notes somewhere or another that we had. It was over 210 mile an hour, wasn't it? Something 220?
Yeah, Bill Elliott in the 80s, 210 miles an hour. Austin Bill from Dawsonville. And we're not going to come anywhere close to that, believe me. We're going to be about 30 miles an hour off of that tonight as Anthony Alfredo has taken the green flag. Ridgefield, Connecticut driver who spent last year in the Xfinity Series.
Daytona have changed some of the exit curbs after the accident last year for Ryan after he barrel rolled, 9 times in the air late on in the season. They've pulled back some of the grass on the infield section. Even so, Alfredo still touching that double yellow line as he comes out of 3 and 4, but he's faster so far than Hocevar.
And that car looks like it's going to be on the provisional pole, sponsored by Death Wish Coffee for Speed Weeks. And Alfredo goes to the top of the board. 50.098 seconds, 179.648 miles an hour, half a second faster than Carson Hocevar.
Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar's teammate at Spire Motorsports, now on the track as well. Hasn't taken the green flag just yet, as far as I know, if the timing screen wants to work up with us, because now, guess what? TV pictures are failing on us, which is always the way to go, isn't it?
It never fails. It never fails, but
we've got the timing screen. We're fine.
Yeah, we will walk you through it. Zane Smith, champion of the Truck Series 2 years ago in 2022. Last year, did make the playoffs in the Truck Series, but finished 7th in the championship standings. Out of Huntington Beach, California. Zane Smith with WeatherTech on the hood and quarter panels of that Spire Motorsports number 71.
It's gone back to Alfredo as well at the moment. That's brilliant. I'm going to have to run in and fix this. Have you got this?
I do, yes. Go on.
Excellent. I'll run in.
Smith putting his lap in at 50.485 seconds for Zane Smith. So that's second best of the 3 that have run. And now we have the 41 of Ryan Preece for Stewart Haas Racing on the track. And Josh mentioned Preece and that dramatic tumble he had the last time we were here at Daytona in the summer race, the regular season finale. Came away with some black eyes from that, but tough guy, never did step out of the race car. This is one of the new Fords, the new Ford Dark Horse Mustangs for Berlin, Connecticut's Ryan Preece, second Connecticut Yankee out on the racetrack here in the first four, and Preece tracking well as he rolls through turns 3 and 4. This will be the 5th start in the Great American Race for Ryan Preece. Did score a pole last year at Martinsville in the spring, the only pole that Ryan Preece has grabbed in his career. That's silver and black. Haas Tooling, number 41 Ford. For Stewart Haas Racing, there's a lot of talk about Stewart Haas Racing here this season. It's a very inexperienced lineup with Kevin Harvick leaving, and Preece will complete his lap 49.952 seconds. For Ryan Preece, 180.173 miles an hour puts him at the top of the leaderboard. So Preece goes to the top. And that will bring out Justin Haley from Winamac, Indiana. The young Hoosier will hit the racetrack. He changed teams in the offseason. It was, he actually changed teams before the offseason. It was made known that he would change teams before the season ended. It was a surprise to a lot of people to see him go from Colleague Racing, a team up and coming, on the rise, Colleague team, moving over to Rick Ware Racing and their Ford outfit. They've got sponsorship on this car that's new, Treetop Apple Juice on the hood and quarter panels of this Ford, and Justin Haley has the pedal to the metal as he's in the east banking of turns 3 and 4 on his first round qualifying run.
Not too bad. Nice to see Ryan Preece go to the top, 49.952. I've brought the mouse with me to the garage. It's Bluetooth, so if it goes wrong again, I won't have to run out the box to fix it, hopefully. Up to the line then for Haley, and, well, 2.5 tenths down on the board. Justin Haley goes third fastest on a 50.226. Not so bad at the moment, is it? As who's next out? David Reagan, I believe, heading out there on the circuit. Here he is. 2 wins, of course, and the 2011 July winner here at Daytona before.
Yeah, he's a great super speedway racer, and this is a very important lap that's about to be turned by the Unadilla, Georgia-born driver, David Reagan. He is one of our open cars. He's in a third RFK Racing entry for this Daytona 500, so if he can make the field, he's going to be a contender just because he knows how to run at these tracks, and he's at a great team that won here last year with Chris Buescher, of course a teammate to Brad Keselowski, who's had a ton of success on the super speedways. So if he can make the field, David Reagan's going to be a dark horse contender on Sunday, but first he has to make the field as he heads towards the east banking of turns 3 and 4, tracking about 1.5 tenths off the provisional pole sitter, which is Preece.
31 degrees, the bankings through 1, 2, into 3 and 4, up to the line. He's effectively towing the back of Alfredo as he comes up towards the line. Pictures go again, but I can tell you the time for David Reagan puts him third fastest on a 50.2 exactly across the line. A very nice time. Puts him safely so far into third position, but there are faster cars to come.
And that puts him just below Anthony Alfredo. That's important because Alfredo's one of the open cars. So Alfredo faster than Reagan. And we'll keep you up to date with those open cars as we go on throughout the night and how they're standing. Remember, the 2 fastest of the open cars lock themselves in tonight. On the track, A.J. Allmendinger, who won a playoff race last year, was not a playoff contender, of course, but won the playoff race at Charlotte on the Roval. He stepped back from full-time racing in the Cup Series for Colleague, but he is going to run for him on a number of races, including the Daytona 500, which he finished third in 2017 with JTG Doherty Racing.
And he's DNF'd here twice before. Last victory, of course, as you said, came back at Charlotte. That was only 4 races ago on the 10th of August. Allmendinger's looking okay. He's a 10th down at the moment, and that computer would predict him where he is to go second fastest ahead of Alfredo. It really doesn't like the exit at turn 4, does it, this stream that we've got on for Fox at the moment? But where did Allmendinger go? Third fastest. He dropped 3 thousandths to Alfredo coming at the back of turn 4.
So third fastest for AJ Allmendinger, who he can be a pretty good super speedway driver. Mentioned that third place finish in the 2017, and we'll see what he has. He is locked in to the race, is Allmendinger, and very happy to take a step back from a full season schedule. Just had a baby, of course, last year, and he's very happy to just be running a handful of races this year. Obviously is going to be a threat every time we go to a road course. BJ McLeod is next on the racetrack. Again, one of the open cars for Live Fast Motorsport. Mean a lot for him to make this race. He's from Florida, from Wauchula, Florida. And it would be his 6th start in the Great American Race if he can make the race. No sponsorship on this car, however, Josh. He'd like to put something on the quarter panels heading to Sunday.
Easy to spot then, just the big red 78 coming through, but he's last overall at the moment, a 50.749. John Hunter Nemechek coming through now as well in the 42. He's coming out of 3 and 4. 41 cup starts before him as well. Just 26 years old, but already making a name for himself for some cheeky maneuvers just a couple of weeks ago at the Clash.
And not a rookie to the Cup Series. He did run full-time in 2020 with Front Row Motorsports, then jumped down to the Truck Series, and basically climbed up the ladder again. Went trucks, went to Xfinity. He was spectacular in the Xfinity Series last year with 7 wins. He was the regular season champion in the series, finished 4th in the overall championship. John Hunter Nemechek, one to watch this year at Legacy Motor Club.
One thing I'm finding out as well, Matthew, is that they are dropping so much time at the exit of 2 down that back stretch. We're now 4 tenths back for Nemechek. That's going to drop him all the way to around about 5th, 6th position, just where Justin Haley is. And as well, going there with Zane Smith. Really not a good lap down. And in fact, it's going to put him last overall, P8. Cross the line. Yeah, goes 8. Puts down McLeod. That's a really bad lap.
And just remember, I mentioned earlier, Toyotas have not traditionally qualified well on the super speedways. And here we have one in Nemechek down towards the bottom of the ladder. Here's Riley Herbst on the racetrack. Now, he only run 4 races in the Cup Series last year. They were all the super speedway races at Daytona and Talladega. He ran extremely well in those races, 10th in the Daytona 500 a year ago, and 9th in the playoff race at Talladega. Very inexperienced, but very talented on these super speedways for Riley Herbst. This is a Rick Ware Racing entry, sponsorship from Monster Energy.
Seeing it as well already. He was fastest of all through the tribal section, coming through 1 and 2, and he's pulling ahead of Ryan Priest's time at the moment. That's a 49.952, let's not forget. And Herbert looking absolutely brilliant as he swings it down into 3 and 4. Hopefully the eyeline wasn't taken away there as well, but this is a good lap. He's inside. This might be another P1 time.
Yeah, could be. Here he comes, heading towards the checkered flag, entering the 18 degrees of banking in the tri-oval, and he's done it. So Riley Herbst goes to the top of the board, 49.946, 180.195 miles an hour. He beats out Priest by 6 1/1000ths of a second. Riley Herbst from Las Vegas to the top of the board.
Here comes Austin Dillon, though, a favourite from last time out at the Clash, and then he qualified for quite low down, but he's our 2018 Daytona 500 winner. Should easily make it through to the top 10 for round 2, and already up. But this is the first time they've opened up these cars at maximum pace, and you can tell there's still some kinks to be worked out. It's a bit of an unfair thing to go out there effectively with one leg tied behind your back, albeit one tyre.
Dillon, very successful at Daytona. You mentioned he won the 500. He's won the 400 here. He's won a Daytona 500 qualifying race. So Dillon can get it done here on these super speedways. And that RCR Chevrolet has plenty of horses underneath it because he is tracking a 1/10 and a half faster than Herbst as he hauls it up off turn number 4. checkered flag in front of Austin Dillon, and he's going to cross the stripe and easily go to the top of the board. So Austin Dillon, 49.745 seconds, 180.923 miles an hour by 0.2 of a second. He beats out Hurt and goes to the top of the board.
Fox go to an ad break, but that's not bad actually. His average starting position for Austin Dillon is 16.5, so in between 16th and 17th on the board. So very good for him to have a runner-up position there. But so we've had a total of 10 cars go out. BJ McLeod is the 11th of those runners actually. Thinking about it, we had 11 go through. Yeah, it's who's going out next? Can't actually tell on the board. I think we've got a natural break in proceedings now, haven't we, after the opening 11?
Yes, they will not, when Fox goes to break, they will not put another car out on the track, which, okay, I do like that, but, you know, we spent 25 minutes doing nothing. I don't know if we needed a break this quickly, but okay.
Well, it's the Fox magic, I suppose. I suppose we can look forward to this going into IndyCar if they do take over, as is rumoured by Roger Penske. Whatever the captain says, we all just disagree with. But I'm not making any friends, am I? But this is an interesting start, really good start. The chat is active as well on YouTube. Hello everybody, Google user coming in as well. Says I'm ready for bed out there as well. He also says the new Camry looks mediocre. I don't hate it or like it. Hopefully it grows on you when it comes in. Adam says I've got plenty of coffee for the UK broadcasters. That's me and Josh T, who's in the chat, keeping an eye on it. I suppose as well. What have you got for sustenance, Matthew, drink wise over there?
I just have water with me right now. I don't need any coffee. Not this deep into the night, which I know I'm talking to you early into the morning. But no, don't need any coffee this close to bed.
No, that's exactly what I'm thinking as well. So I'm just sort of coasting until it. But literally, I've got insomnia anyway, so I'm fine. The Rolex 24 hours properly killed my sleep schedule. And then it got worse with the MotoGP testing. And then all the launches, and now the NASCAR Clash and the Daytona 500. I've just given up. I just sleep whenever now. I think that's the best way to go around it. Whenever I can, I get a couple of hours nap.
Probably a good idea.
It's really bad, actually. I think last week during the MotoGP, we ended day one, and I slept the entire daytime. So I went to bed at 10 a.m. I woke up at 6 p.m. It was really, really bad. So I missed the entire... I literally never saw daylight. It was all darkness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, well, that's the commitment. That's where we go.
Yeah, understood. As we're going to have JJ Yaley on the racetrack next. We were talking about this entry earlier. This has been quite the story. This is the NY Racing Team is the name of this team. And Greg Biffle has run some races for the team, including the Daytona 500 a couple of times. And there was all this question of who would be in this car for the 500. Everyone kind of assumed it would be Biffle. Then, of course, the hauler makes its way onto the road, and it's got Greg Biffle's name on it. Greg Biffle has to put out a social media message, I'm not in this car for Daytona. So no one has known who was in this car until this morning, and it's J.J. Yaley from Phoenix, Arizona, USAC Triple Crown champion, and a runner in the Indianapolis 500 in the late 90s. He spun on lap 1 of the Indianapolis 500 of 1998. Now moved over to NASCAR, drove with Joe Gibbs for a couple of years, including as a rookie in 2006. Finished second in the Coca-Cola 600 in 2007. That's the most success he's had. This is a real underdog bid being put in by J.J. Yaley and the NY Racing Team to try to make this Daytona 500.
Sadly, 1.1 seconds off the pace. It's changing as quickly as I can say it as he exits turn 4 into the tri-oval section across the checkered flag line, and it is sadly 12th position on the board a 51.261, but still good effort.
And that is an open car, so because he did not beat any of the other open cars, that means that Yaley will not lock in tonight. He will have to race his way in tomorrow. As we mentioned, this is a very much an underdog bid, so have to see if something can go his way to race his way in tomorrow. Are we going to hear from Josh Berry?
We are.
First ever Daytona 500. What's the day been like? This is such an awesome team that we've gotten to know with Kevin over the years, but what's the day just been like with them?
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. Obviously, just getting to know all this group over the off-season has just been just a dream come true, really. This Rodney, Cheddar, all these guys have just been a pleasure to work with. So we're just ready to get going, really, at this point, right? We got a beautiful, bright, orange, sunny D Ford. We're ready to go qualify for this Daytona 500 race tomorrow night.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, he's going to be so interesting to follow through the early portions of this year, Josh Berry. Getting into the seat that Kevin Harvick has held for the last 10 years at Stewart-Haas Racing. Finishing his run here, Josh, is Daniel Hemrick, former Xfinity Series champion, trying to make it happen again on the Cup Series level this year with Colleague Racing. Let's see where he clocks in at 6th fastest for Hemrick.
Not bad time either, 50.133. He is 67 thousandths in David Reagan as well. But Josh Berry very much impressed me when he debutized last year as well for a couple of races. I think he was at one of the ones I covered as well. I want to say Atlanta he was in and really impressed me. I can't remember if it was either Atlanta or Dover, one of the two I covered last year for you when you on a Monday race. But honestly, seriously mega impressive. Can't wait to see where we're going in the future. Here, however, is Noah Gregson out there on the circuit, and he's not that far back actually. He's doing actually quite well.
This is, of course, Noah Gregson 3.0 now, I guess. Now with Stewart-Haas Racing in the number 10 car that Eric Almirola vacated at the end of last year. Gregson's got a lot to prove this year, and I'm not talking about only on the track. He's going to have to clean up his act off the track and on the track as well. He's got a lot of trust to be regained. So let's see what Noah Gregson 3.0 is as he clocks in 4th fastest here in this Stewart-Haas Racing Ford, 180.076 miles an hour. 49.979 seconds.
Talking about him a lot on the Grid Tonight show as well throughout last year and the beginning of this year, how much controversy was he keep getting into as well. It was quite comical as we see Corey LeJour coming across now as well. 4th is his best finish twice as he comes across the exit of the tri-oval section and then back onto the Daytona Speedway. And in the first sector, he's ahead of Zane Smith at the moment, who is the top 10 cutoff point as he swoops down through 2. He's a 10th off the pace, now 2/10 off of Austin Dillon.
Best season of Corey LaJoie's career last year. Now, bear with me as I talk about this because you're going to think that I'm making fun of the guy. I'm not. He finished 25th in the final championship standings, but he had three top fives, 2 top 5, 3 top 10s. He punched so far above his weight last year in this Spire Motorsports car. Fast forward to this year, there's some hope for not only this driver, but for this team and organization, Spire Motorsports, as LaJoie clocks in 10th fastest. Chili's, a new sponsor on the car for this Speed Weeks. But everyone's pulling for Corey LaJoie, and there's reason for optimism heading into this season for him and that team. And you mentioned he's ran well in this Daytona 500 a couple of times. Now we get another car rolling off turn 4 heading to the green flag. This is Mitchell, Indiana's Chase Briscoe, who now with Kevin Harvick gone, Josh, enters very much virgin territory. He is now the veteran leader of Stewart-Haas Racing, and we're talking about a guy that has all of 1 career win.
He's had a pole here at Daytona before. That's 1 only, but it's not going to be all that encouraging. It's big shoes to fill. He's already touching the yellow line. In fact, he's riding the yellow line. You can see how much vibration it's getting on the onboard camera as he heads down the back straightaway. It almost looks like he's got his hand on the window, just covering up the air intake as well, as we know they'd like to do on the back straightaway. But it's just absolutely terrifying to approach turn 3 and only have one hand on the wheel, going up over, 118 miles an hour as he comes across the line?
Yeah, that is something that they have found aerodynamically, that if you can cover up that opening at the A-frame of the net, you can deflect air out of the car, and you cannot have something up there blocking it. But if you can put your hand up, that's not illegal, so a lot of drivers do it. Well, all drivers do it now during qualifying. Briscoe clocked in 4th fastest, 49.966 seconds, 180.122 miles an hour. 4th fastest for Briscoe. That is 1/100th of a second off of his teammate, Ryan Preece, that sits 3rd as we speak.
We saw Formula One discover a similar concept back in 2010. McLaren started it, and they called it the F duct. And basically what that was is that a driver could literally just move his knee, and it would cover up the air intake. As what's this happening on the back straightaway?
My goodness, Briscoe was coasting in on the apron of the backstretch and had to duck around Kaz Gralla.
Who's stopping?
Gralla was supposed to be car out, and his car is crawling at maybe 30 miles an hour at the entrance of turn 3. This is an open car, so wow.
Let's listen in. I can't tell if it's stuck in gear or not. It sounded like it tried to chug. Is it good? Is it good?
Well, what we're hearing is conversation down on pit road with Anthony Alfredo. If Kaz Gralla can't put in a time, which it doesn't look like he will be, Anthony Alfredo is going to be confirmed in the field. He will be one of the 2 fastest open cars, and Alfredo has locked himself into the Daytona 500.
Fantastic celebrations. So effectively you get bump day all in one. So he's locked himself in. Good thing for Alfredo. 6th fastest time. Overall 50.098, and the 36 continues down pit road, and now the other one's slow in. What's going on here?
Yeah, Briscoe's now going even slower coasting in.
At all for you right now. The lever's completely disconnected.
Oh.
Oh no.
So the gear shift lever's gone.
Wow. That's one of the stranger things that you'll hear. So that means that Alfredo is locked in, and Gralla will have to race his way in through the qualifying race of tomorrow. And I think they're about to go down to Jamie, who's going to talk with Anthony Alfredo. We're going to hear the emotion of Anthony Alfredo getting locked into the Daytona 500 field. He does not have to worry about tomorrow night.
You locked yourself into the Daytona 500. Linda Beard, the owner, right here. What are these emotions like for you guys? Congratulations.
This is insane. I mean, we're just talking about every possible scenario we might find ourselves in today, tomorrow, and obviously Sunday. But to make it to Sunday is a challenge. It's such a competitive field of open cars and drivers behind the wheel. And I'm just really thankful for the Beard family giving me this opportunity, and Death Wish Coffee coming on board. We have clearly a fast Chevrolet Camaro. I mean, we beat a lot of big teams so far. There's a lot of cars to go. But to know that we're in and could not have to race in tomorrow and just remove ourselves from some of the sketchy circumstances and focus on Sunday is just an amazing feeling.
Congratulations, Anthony.
Thank you.
Oh, brilliant.
You can hear the emotion right there. It'll be his 2nd start in the 500. He started with Front Row Motorsports a couple of years ago. Kyle is with us in the chat section in Mixler. He says, welcome back, NASCAR. Indeed. Glad to have you with us, Kyle. Building you up to the Daytona 500, qualifying tonight, the qualifying races tomorrow. And, of course, we'll have the truck and Xfinity races Friday and Saturday night on USRN, leading you up to the Daytona 500 on USRN and JB Motorsports on YouTube, where you can, Kyle, if you didn't know, you can watch the broadcast that you are listening to on Mixer right now on YouTube at JB Motorsports with Josh Birch and myself, as we have another car on the racetrack. Josh, it's Harrison Burton for the Wood Brothers of Stewart, Virginia.
Looking good as well. He's ahead of Haley as well, who's the 10th fastest time on a 50.226. So getting himself in there, exactly what he needs to do. The gap is around about, I want to say, it says a 10th, but I'm not believing that on my own eye. I think it's about 4/10ths quicker. Across the line for Burton and jumps up into 2nd position. 49.903. Beautiful time there for the 21.
Yeah, that's a really good run for Harrison Burton. And that's a promising run for the Wood brothers, too. See if that can get him into the top 10 in that second round. It's going to be tough. We got a lot of good big hitters left, but that gives him at least a chance, as next on the track is Todd Gilliland for Front Row Motorsports.
Only off by 28 thousandths as well at the moment. Let's see what part of the track he's coming into. I think it's 1 and 2. Yeah. Good run, actually, at the exit. Go on, push hard down the back straight away. Don't get any sector times here at Daytona. We just got to wait for the full run around. That's why Fox gives us the gap between the two. Wonderful, actually, as well. If they do this for the Indy 500, maybe I'll have them on a little bit more, because seeing the ghost car is something that we could do with at the Indy 500, because we just have to look at the sector times and sort of work out ourselves, don't we, Matthew, which is which?
Yeah, exactly right. As here is Gilliland, 23 years old, from Sherrill Ford, North Carolina. Crosses the line to complete his run, and he pops into third fastest, 49.906 seconds, 180.339 miles an hour. And he goes in with all of those Fords bunched up. You got a Chevrolet and Austin Dillon at the top of the board. Then you have 6 straight Fords, second to 7th. And speaking of Fords, here's another one on the track, and a former winner of the Great American Race, Austin Cindric for Team Penske. And Josh, there is without doubt, this is a big year for Austin Cindric, because he won the Daytona 500 as a rookie 2 years ago, made the playoffs because of that win, but then last year as a sophomore did not run well at all. Just one top 5 finish all year, 24th in the championship standings. Austin Cindric needs to perform this year.
He really does, and it was a problematic 2023. Put that behind him. He's come back saying, I will fight. He is feeling a lot more determined. It's the first time he's able to push the car at speed. First time he's gone at speed all season long. Out of the last couple of corners, is it fast enough? Is the question we need to see across the line. And Austin Cindric puts it up into second position. Computer predicted it. He's gone second, 49.799, 54 thousandths off the pace of Austin Dillon. So the Austins lead the way.
So yeah, an all Austin front row right now, and he goes right up to the fastest of those Fords that I was just mentioning. So Cindric, again, give him a chance to get into the top 10 and make the second round.
I think he jumped the track there. I swear, who are we on board with right now? Jimmy Johnson. I swear I saw that official go, no, wait. It was like he was beckoning him forward, saying, right, just come up here and park here. And then Jimmy went, okay, floored it. And the official went, no. So that's a bit of a no-no. I hope he hasn't done something wrong there. The 7-time NASCAR champion. And only two-time Daytona 500 winner, of course.
We're going to find something. We're going to have something determined for us on this run. Johnson is the last of the open cars to run. So Anthony Alfredo is already locked into the Daytona 500. This will tell us if Jimmy Johnson will lock his way in on speed, or will it be David Reagan. So Johnson trying to beat Reagan, who is currently 12th, to lock into the 500. Johnson, of course, a 2-time winner of the Daytona 500. He did it as a rookie in 2002, again in 08. He's won the race a couple of times, but tonight, Josh, he's just trying to lock himself in to the Daytona 500.
Yep, he's won the Daytona 500 twice, then won the July race once, as he comes out now down the back. And he's just on the bubble by 85 thousandths of a second to Reagan as well. And now they've actually got to be taking in for Allmendinger. He's running in 10th position. So I don't know why we've got Reagan on the monitor to keep us the bubble, because it has to be that. No, it's the last car, Reagan, but still throw it in for Allmendinger for the top 10. That's where Jimmy Johnson is aiming to be. He wants to get automatically through. He wants to put out a statement saying, I'm back, Matthew.
He's not going to get it done. This is going to lock in David Reagan. So Johnson is across the line. He has not been able to lock himself into the field. He will have to race his way in tomorrow, and David Reagan An additional entry for RFK Racing has locked himself into the Daytona 500 with his qualifying speed. Let's hear from him.
But you could win it. You're going to have a chance to get in.
You know, Josh, yeah, it's always big to be in the Daytona 500, and the whole week I've just been trying to make sure we didn't make any mistakes, and I really felt like we were going to have a shot at a top 10 or top 12 starting spot, but it just shows all the hard work. This is buildsubmarines.com. Ford team has done, and Derek Finley, he puts a lot of effort into the race team at RFK, and I've worked with him in the past, and he has been nervous as a cat all afternoon, and so I'm really proud for Derek and proud for the whole RFK guys, and appreciate Brad Kozlowski and Jack Roush giving me an opportunity to come down here to try to win a Daytona 500.
Congrats, David.
Yeah, thank you.
Here comes the 43.
That's just terrific for David Reagan, one of the nice guys of this sport for so long. He's locked himself into the 500. Here's Eric Jones, Jimmy Johnson's teammate for Legacy Motor Club, and he goes faster than both of the teammates it's run, Johnson and Nemechek. Jones slots in 11th fastest, and he tied with A.J. Allmendinger, Josh, 50.101 for both Allmendinger and Jones. The tie goes to the car that set the time first, so AJ gets the nod.
How rare is that to see? Both of them 0.356 off the pace as well, and the track closed as Fox go to an ad break for the running order. So we've done 21, effectively 22. We're more than halfway in the first round, and I'm trying to see who's up next. It's going to be Denny Hamlin, Josh Berry, and Brad Keselowski up next.
Yeah, and we're getting into the big hitters here. So we'll see. We're going to start to see a lot of bumping into or out of the top 10 shootout. That's now what we're focused on, is who gets into that top 10 shootout, if you will, is now the open cars have all run, and Anthony Alfredo and David Reagan have locked themselves in. So that sets the stage for us, Josh. Now that that has taken place, and while we're in this break, we can tell you Kaz Grala, J.J. Yaley, B.J. McLeod, and Jimmy Johnson will now be the 4 open cars that will have to race their way into the 500 through the qualifying races tomorrow night. And just to recap their runs, Josh, Johnson was by far the best. B.J. McLeod was way off the pace. J.J. Yaley was, as expected, way off the pace with the NY Racing team that just decided on a driver this morning. And Kaz Grala didn't get to put a run in because of a gear shift issue, is what we're assuming on that. So you'll have 2 in one race, 2 in the other race tomorrow night, and the best finisher from each race of the open cars will get in. You'd have to favor Jimmy Johnson to get in if he can stay out of trouble, but I would think, Josh, I don't know if you think the same or disagree, being that we didn't get to see what Kaz Grala's got, it's basically a coin toss when you think of Grala, Yaley, and McLeod on who's going to get in. One of them will, 3 of them won't, or 2 of them won't.
I agree with you, because we've got no idea, really. We've got no speed runs. And another problem is no practice time. So they're going into a race with no data of what that car can do at speed. So it's scary in my book.
Yeah, it is. Just to reset for everyone listening on USRN, this is Daytona 500 qualifying. First round is about middle of the way through the first round. Matthew Owens and Josh Birch here with you as we begin our season. USRN and JB Motorsports combining to bring you every lap of the NASCAR Cup Series season. We're so excited for it, and bringing you every lap of tonight's qualifying session at Daytona. And the next car on the track here, Josh, is a 3-time Daytona 500 winner. That is Denny Hamlin, the winner from 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles.
What a run he did as well for Denny Hamlin. He just literally got it, didn't he, at the last run around. Timed it to perfection and took the win away from Kyle Busch, Ryan Blaney, and personally, I felt sorry for Alex Bowman a little bit during the clash. Just saying. But certainly, what can we see here now? Being delivered from Denny Hamlin, a driver who has delighted us all for so long. And on the circuit. Here he is, look. Won 3 of the last 8 Daytona 500s. First of 6 drivers with 3 Daytona 500 victories. Looking at the list as well, yeah. It just says it, doesn't it, on our performance recap segments as well. And won the Clash 2 weeks ago.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of time he can put in, because we've been talking about Toyota's historical struggles qualifying on the super speedways. How about we talk about what they're doing presently, which isn't much better. The highest Toyota currently is Eric Jones at 11th. Then the next Toyota is Jimmy Johnson at 16th. So the Toyotas are struggling for speed out of the gates here, even with the new Camry. See if Hamlin can bump his way into the top 10 halfway through his lap. It's not looking great.
And that's a surprise as well, isn't it? Because everyone's been saying we've got the Fords and the Toyotas bringing brand new cars. We've put them on super speedways for the first 2 races. In fact, you've said it yourself, Matthew, in our pre-show that's out soon for the podcast, about it's controversial doing this to give them effectively testing sessions. What's the lap time? Hamlin's down in 16th position. Blimey.
These Toyotas aren't going right now. That's 50.293 seconds, 178.951 miles an hour. So Hamlin's going to be pretty deep in the field for his qualifying race tomorrow. Now, we go from a Toyota, and the Toyotas that are struggling, to a Ford. Fords are populating the top 10 almost exclusively right now. 7 of the top 10 are Fords, and this is Josh Berry, the rookie driver out of Tennessee, that's taking the spot of Kevin Harvick in the number 4 for Stewart-Haas Racing.
It's that number 1, though, that's bugging me. It's a Chevy on top with Austin Dillon, isn't it? He's got it by 54 thousandths of a second, but the bubble is very close between Berry and AJ Allmendinger, both leveling about 179 miles an hour. In the pre-show, if you watched it on JB Motorsports, I did a lap attack, averaging at full speed because I had a full lap to build up pace at 194 miles an hour. We're doing less than that now. The new generation of NASCAR, we're about 11 slower than that. And where do we see it across the line? Josh Berry is 12th, 50.102, a 10th off of Allmendinger and Jones's time.
From Hendersonville, Tennessee, the same hometown as Indianapolis 500 winner Joseph Newgarden. And that will be the only lap he's going to turn tonight, as he will not make the top 10 shootout. Now we go to Brad Keselowski, Josh, former Cup champion, more than a decade ago now, if you can believe it. This is one of the many stories, and you're going to hear it at least on our USRN broadcast on Sunday a lot. There is a group of drivers starting this race that are former champions of the series, but they have not won the Daytona 500. Brad Keselowski is 0 for 14 in his career trying to win the Great American Race. It's the one thing missing on his scorecard. He's won the championship. He's won the Brickyard 400. He's won the Southern 500. He's not won the Daytona 500.
I remember being on the call with you the first year in, 2022, and I said Brad Keselowski could be an unlikely winner. He came so close to winning on several occasions, and he just kept losing out, and he's losing out today. 14th fastest, 50.107. But Brad Keselowski, for me, is always a driver who is unexpected. He may have a bad qualifying, bad speedway, but when we get to the 500, in the last 10 laps, he's always in the mix. He's always there. It's luck that he's just never on his side. As we take a look at Ricky Stenhouse Jr., last year's Daytona 500 winner, now out on the track, beginning his speed run.
I just chuckled when you were talking about luck being on your side, and it certainly was for Ricky last year to win this 500. And he's the last non-Hendrick Motorsports driver to win the pole for the 500. He did it in 2020 with JTG Doherty Racing, which is the team he runs for here. Won the pole for this race in 2020. won the race a year ago. Now here he is from Olive Branch, Mississippi. It's hard for a lot of people like myself to believe that he is 36 years of age, but he comes in as the defending winner of the 500. And here's Stenhouse rolling out of turn 4 on the east side of the racetrack. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to bump his way into the top 10, however, Josh.
Nah, it's a very slow run. The car's unsteady at the rear. It's looking okay coming into the trial. Goes 17th fastest ahead of Corey LaJour. It's a 50.231 on the board. I had to really strain my eyes there to read that one on the picture broadcast, but not bad. Ryan Blaney coming up now as well.
From High Point, North Carolina, the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion, Ryan Blaney. And what an unbelievable drive to the title last year for a guy that not many people thought could make a deep run to the championship a year ago after a rather mediocre regular season. He turned it on in the playoffs. Ryan Blaney, now a Cup Series champion, now trying to become a Daytona 500 winner. He has run extremely well in the 500 before. He's finished second twice. He led the most laps in the race in 2018. He's won the 400 here. He's won a qualifying race here. Now Ryan Blaney, one of those former Cup champions that has never won the Daytona 500. What can he do this year? One of the best super speedway racers we have in the NASCAR Cup Series, and it looks like, Josh, he's just going to make it into the top 10, at least for now. That's going to bump A.J. Allmendinger out.
And he's gone up to 9th position ahead of Alfredo as well. That's a stunning lap time from Blaney. Best we've seen in the last 10, 20 minutes or so out there on the track. So Allmendinger will have to go through the duels for a starting position. We'll get into the odds and evens of running order later on in the broadcast. Kyle Larson's out there on the track now.
He won the pole for this race in 2022. He's been a part of the Hendrick Motorsports domination on qualifying day at the Daytona 500. They've won the pole, Hendrick Motorsports has, in 8 of the last 9 Daytona 500. Alex Bowman, of course, has been on the front row 6 straight years, but Larson has been a part of that domination. And here is his red, white, and blue number 5 on the racetrack, heading toward the east banking of turn 3.
And it's up as well, comfortably from Alfredo as he comes into it. 0.086 as he comes out of turn 3 and 4, back into the trial section as well. 31 degrees of banking. Then on the straight, it's 3 degrees of banking. It may seem like nothing, but trust me, it is. Trial is at 18 degrees and comfortably goes through to the top spot. 49.7. Brilliant time.
49.730 seconds, 180.977 miles an hour, and there are those Hendrick cars. They get to Daytona 500 qualifying night, and they are just about unbeatable.
Fantastic as we see Joey Logano coming up now, I believe, to start his lap across the Trioval section. 2015 winner, and already look at that fly. Green on the sector times ahead of Blaney already, who's now in P10 with a 50.00. What was it for Blaney? 50.003. I was right. Just wanted to double check before I said it out loud. But he's already a 10th faster through turn 1 and 2. This is an outstanding run from Joey Logano as he comes down the back straight, and he's increasing the time. Brilliant.
Yeah, clearly, now those are team cars, Logano and Blaney, so clearly this 22 car is going through the air a little slicker than the 12 car did. So Logano, who has had a ton of success on these super speedways, needing a better season than he had last year. Just the one win a year ago. It was on a super speedway at Atlanta. Logano is across the line, and he has gotten himself to the top of the board. How about that? He has not only bumped his way into the top 10, he's gone to the very top. Joey Logano, 49.641 seconds, 181.302 miles an hour. And I got to say, Josh, that is a surprise. Not a surprise to see him in the top 10. It is a surprise to see him beating Kyle Larson.
and he's clocked in the fastest speed, 181.302. He has wiped everybody away with that one. Fantastic opening time then as they come across the board. Next up, it's Tyler Reddick, who's out there on the circuit, I believe, right now. Oh, hang on, no, this is Byron, the 24 that's going on there. I've read my timing screen wrong. As he comes down in the back straight away, and he's ahead of Noah Gregson as well for 10th.
Again, Byron, a part of that Hendrick brigade that has dominated on this night for so many years now. He has 12 career poles, 4 of them came last year, and he did win the pole for this race in 2019. So the 24 made it to the championship 4 last year. Here he comes rumbling to the line. Let's see, Josh, where he ends up. It looks like he'll definitely be in the top 10.
P4 fastest as well. Good on for the Chevys. They're now getting up there. 3 inside the top 10. It's a 49.776 speed at 180.81. Tyler Reddick up now.
By the way, that Logano time, speaking of how impressive it is, he's the only guy that has broken into the 181 mile an hour bracket. So everyone else under 181, that's a surprisingly good run from Logano. Here is Tyler Reddick for 2311 Racing. The Nasty Beast Toyota. That'll be fun in the starting grid on Sunday. Really good season last year with a win at the Circuit of the Americas road course, and then in the playoffs on the oval in Kansas. Reddick from Corning, California, trying to break into the top 10 here, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen as he heads to turn 3. He's 2.5 tenths off of Chase Briscoe, who he needs to beat. But again, Josh, this just supports what we've seen all night. The Toyotas just aren't going.
They're not, and the 48's being held in the pit lane, I believe, as well, just to let you know. Reddick across the line, down, down, deeper, and down. Can't even work out where he's got on the timing screen. 25th. Wow.
Yeah, the Toyotas just, they can't get it to go. And here's another Toyota in Christopher Bell. Back-to-back years in the championship 4 now for Bell. Claimed a couple of wins last year. One on Easter Sunday night on the dirt race at Bristol, which is no more. And then he won in the playoffs at Miami. That's what clinched his spot into the championship 4. Maybe the most impressive part of his season, Josh, was he got crazy on qualifying day. He won 6 poles last year, and they were all in the second half of the season. Loudon, Michigan, Darlington, Kansas, Bristol, and Las Vegas. Christopher Bell won the pole.
Really is a serial pole winner then as he comes down. He's behind Briscoe at the moment though for 10th position, so something's not happening with this car. Look, he's got the arm over the A cover as well, just trying to get rid of as little amount of air inside it as they can, flapping around. And he's doing it one-handed through the banking section as well. We've never seen that before. He's 2.5 tenths down though. This is a really poor time here. He's only put in 22nd fastest to 50.251.
Again, the Toyota's just really struggling right now, and that's been proved by these last 2 cars in Reddick and Bell outside the top 20. Again, the point that we've been making as we've gone on is they hope to race better, give up some qualifying speed to get back in return stability in the draft. They better hope they have stability in the draft because they're going to be starting deep in the field tomorrow night.
At break time, that's why the 48 was being held in the pit lane. So next up, Alex Bowman.
Let's see. Just wanted to check the comment section on YouTube here. Let's see. Adam, I've met David Reagan a few years ago. Nice guy. David Reagan, he comes across as just one of the nicest guys in the garage. Google user, JJ disappointed me as usual. Golly, he sucked at Indy and his return is so overrated.
Blimey.
Well, I'm glad people don't, mince words around here.
That's what we like. Go straight for it. Go in. Otherwise, there's no point.
So, I want to ask you a question, Josh. I know you're asking a lot of questions these days with the podcast, which is great, by the way. I've been listening. They
Thank you.
are posted on USRN, by the way, to listen to in the recording section. I want to ask you some questions with you jumping in headfirst into NASCAR this year. What race are you looking forward to the most this year? Whether it's just to watch or whether it's to call, what race are you most looking forward to this year?
Darlington's always good. I love Talladega, but if there's one on the board that I really enjoyed, which was covering, I did like the dirt race. Sad it's gone because it was a bit different, but I think if it rains, Cota's road course is just epic. But number one, of course, Chicago Street Race. I regret not being on the call last year for that and just watching it. I actually really do regret not doing USRN last year for it because it was so amazing. And having SVG take the win and it just shocked the entire motorsport world. It was like, would have liked to have been a part of that. That's sort of, I think, Chicago was the sort of last step for me. It was the final thing that sort of went, that's it, I'm doing it. Like, it was the last thing. I was like, I'm doing it. That's it. So, yeah, Chicago.
Well, of course, we'll have SVG around much more this year. Full slate in the Xfinity Series. He's running, I think it's 7 Cup races. We'll have more SVG this year, which is fun. And, Chicago, I can't wait to see. I'm very intrigued to see what Chicago does this year as a second-year event. Hopefully the weather will be better. I mean, a little rain in a road or street course race is all right, but that was monsoon conditions for 2 days.
Yeah.
Because again, as we know, at least on the American side of things, going back to the IndyCar world, when you come up with new street races, the first year they pack the place. Then that just ticks down every year. Hopefully plenty of people will come back to Chicago this year. You know what my answer to that is, by the way. I can't wait for the Brickyard 400.
Yeah, I was kind of... that's why I didn't mention it, because I knew where you were going. Brickyard 400, which I still don't know if I'm on the call for that or you're on the call for that. I think... I'm kind of hoping you are. I know you're going to be... but like on the JV Motorsport, because I think you can give it more gravitas to have that amazing race back.
Cannot wait. I mean, we have commercial spots on USRN, 3 of them now dedicated to just the Brickyard 400. We're so excited for that race. We'll cross that bridge when we get there in the summer. How about we cross the bridge of Alex Bowman on the racetrack now? He has started on the front row in now 6 consecutive Daytona 500s. In 3 of those years, he's won the pole. But he is early in his lap, and he might not even make it to the top 10 shootout. He is struggling to draw even with the time that Chase Briscoe set. This could be a huge upset here if Bowman can't get into that top 10 shootout after all of his past success these last half dozen years in qualifying at Daytona. This is unreal. I don't think he's going to do it. He's out of turn 4. I don't think he's going to catch Briscoe here.
He's not. Across the line. He's side by side. They are so close on the timings. 31,000 separated. He missed out. He is down in 12th position. What on earth has happened there?
That is a huge, huge shock, but I do just want to make a point of saying this. All these years that Bowman has qualified extremely well for the 500, that car has looked very dicey in the draft. I just wonder if crew chief Blake Harris took some of put some more downforce in the car so it will race better tomorrow. We'll see.
Point. That's a good
idea.
idea.
Very exciting to see him so far down. Not even breaking into the top 10 is shocking. Ty Gibbs on the racetrack now, the second-year driver for Joe Gibbs Racing.
He's behind Briscoe by about 1/10 of a second at the exit of turn 2 onto the back stretch as well. Looks to be a little bit okay. Can he get it a little bit faster? No. Losing now. 1/2 a tenth lost. 6/10 on the back straight alone was lost. That's 6/100ths of a second. So they really are pushing quite hard. But this, I think, would be 13th at best on the board. Let's see where it goes for Ty Gibbs.
Monster Energy Toyota for Gibbs will cross the line, and he will slot in. Oh my goodness, 21st for Ty. Well, again, he's back there with all the other Toyotas, so...
It's literally, there is the top Toyota is literally just Ty Gibbs. He's the fastest one. It's Ford, and I don't know, Eric Jones in 16th position. He's the top Toyota. That is insane to think.
Well, I hope for their sakes they race well tomorrow, because if they're struggling in the draft tomorrow, then they've got nothing right. They haven't gotten single car speed or the racing part down, so we'll see. Here is Kyle Busch. Nearly won the thing last year. If it didn't go to overtime, he was likely going to, but the struggle to win the Daytona 500 continues for Kyle Busch. Josh, this will be his 19th attempt to win the Great American Race. He's 0 for 18. He was second in 2019. And again, like I said, nearly won it last year had it not gone to overtime.
It's getting comical now. Every year we come in and say, is he going to do it? Is he not? And every year we sort of get teased and it doesn't happen. But he's comfortably in to the top 10 by a half. He's into the 6th position, 49.824. Is this the year that we finally see Kyle Busch take a victory for the 500? I'm not sure. I think there's too many other fast cars in the field. But as I said earlier on about Brad Keselowski, again, Kyle Busch is always someone who's inside the top 10 in the last 10 laps.
Yeah, absolutely right. If he can just stay out of trouble, you would have to think he's going to be a player late. We will learn a lot about who's going to be a real contender tomorrow when we see these cars in the draft together. But Kyle Busch, especially with Richard Childress Racing, which has such a long history in this race, of course, have to think Kyle's going to be a contender. Here's Chase Elliott, who has, well, the last 10, 11 months for Chase have been quite something. Missed all those races with the skiing injury, then missed the race because he was suspended, missed the playoffs, didn't win it all last year. I think if there's one thing to define Chase Elliott's season this year, Josh, is a reset. Just a reset from everything of last year. And so far, it's a pretty good reset as he's going to jump to 5th fastest as he crosses the line. He bumps into the top 10, and that knocks Ryan Preece out of it.
He'll be spinning in rage, Ryan Preece, as well. Sorry, I couldn't resist it. But still, that's a good reset for Chase Elliott as well. Very surprised, didn't win a race last year. Said it was injuries, and as you said then, suspensions. It never clicked from him. That injury set him back massively. I remember talking to the Grid Network show as well several times, saying, what is wrong with him? What is going to happen? And we had thousands of panelists saying, well, what is going on? Has he lost it? Should he retire? Should he just call it off? But came back, reset, wants to go for it as well, and didn't do too bad, of course, here last year, as you said, but Chase Elliott was 22nd, if you remember, back at the Clash, so he didn't start the year well. As here's Ross Chastain coming up right now in the number 1.
Most recent winner in the Cup Series. He won the finale at Phoenix last November. Of course, that could be easily forgotten as Ryan Blaney just behind him won the championship, but Chastain did win that race, and he is going to knock himself into the top 10 here as he crosses the line and goes 8th fastest, which knocks Riley Herbst out of the top 10, and Chastain is 8th. We'll see if that will be a good enough time to stay in the top 10 shootout here, as we still have a handful of cars left. And the next being Chris Buescher from Texas, that had a breakout season last year. Best season of Chris Buescher's career by far, as he scored 3 victories, all in the second half of the year leading into the playoffs. He finished 7th in the championship, which was a career best. And one of his wins, Josh, was here at Daytona in August.
Yep, he was our summer winner, and he did it with some style as well, but he's fighting Gilliland for 10th position to automatically qualify through to the second round here at Daytona. He's 50 thousandths of a second off. To give you an example of what that is effectively nose to nose with another human being. It's nothing. And it is Valentine's Day, so there's a treat for you.
It's a good point. Looks like Buescher is not going to be able to break into the top 10. That's a bit of a surprise. And that just goes to show you, that's a really good time that Harrison Burton and Todd Gilliland put up, as Buescher is 14th. So he will not be in the second round of qualifying.
Really impressed, actually, by Todd Gilliland. Just saying, really, really impressed to have him in 10th position. Well, here's someone who needs no introduction. Martin Truex Jr.
Yes, Martin Truex Jr., the regular season champion from last year, but boy, did he fall apart completely in the playoffs. It was unbelievable when the playoffs started. He just totally went away. A shock exit in the second round of the playoffs. Finished 11th in the final championship standings. And Truex, another former champion that has never won this race. He came as close as you can get to doing it in 2016, finished second by inches to Denny Hamlin. But not only, Josh, has he never won this race, Truex has never won on a super speedway in his Cup Series career. Not one at Daytona or Talladega or the new Atlanta. And just like all the other Toyotas tonight, it looks like he's going to be pretty far back here as he finishes up his run. Is he even in the top 20?
No, 24th.
Good Lord, 24th. Heavens to Betsy.
They're laughing in the pit lane. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I feel very confident in the fact that my car outside this commentary box is a Chevy.
Oh, goodness. So here's Michael McDowell, who won the Daytona 500 2 years ago. Upset winner for Front Row Motorsports. He won last year, of course, as well at the Indianapolis Road Course. So Josh has 2 wins in his Cup Series career. They've come at Daytona and Indianapolis. 2 pretty good places to win at.
I think he should retire. I think you're not going to get much better than that, are you, as well, to have that. But maybe the Brickyard 400. He's going to get ahead, actually, here of Todd Gilliland. So he's faster by 47 thousandths of a second, and that's the equivalent of holding hands, ladies and gentlemen, as they come round the turns 3 and 4 section into the tri-oval. And now they've separated. He's a 10th up already. This is a great job here from Michael McDowell. He's going to blitz his way in, maybe even go into the top 8, cross the line. He jumps up into 6th position. 49.783. Brilliant time.
And there's only 2 cars left, so that means he is guaranteed a spot in the run for the pole. So Logano, Larson, Dillon, Byron, Elliott, McDowell, Cindric, and Kyle Busch have guaranteed a spot in the run for the pole. 2 cars left. Daniel Suarez is the next of them, the Monterrey, Mexico driver that a lot of people feel absolutely has to perform this year. It was not a good season for Daniel last year. He went winless, only 3 top 5s, and finished 19th in the championship standings. He did win a pole last year. That was at Indianapolis on the road course. And let's see if he can get himself into the top 10. He's up out of turn number 2, and he's about 7/100ths of a second down to Harrison Burton. If Burton makes the second round, that's a huge win for the Wood Brothers team.
And Suarez is losing so much. Lost a 10th on that back straightaway again. Just lost out. It's almost like he's not getting any speed down the straightaway. He's got his hand up as he comes towards the tri-oval. Is this going to be any good for Suarez? Or is, as you say, Burton going to get through?
I think Burton's got it, and he does. Suarez clocks in 19th. So Harrison Burton stays in. That locks in a spot for Ross Chastain into the second round. And now the last car to go out in this first round is Darrell Wallace Jr. Remember, that is a Toyota that Wallace is driving. And if he does, just like all the other Toyotas have done, Harrison Burton's going to make it in. Let's see. Wallace takes the green flag. This is the last run of the first round.
Bubba's car always makes me hungry. It did 2 weeks ago. It is right now. It's 2:34 a.m. here in the UK, and I want a Big Mac as he comes out of turn 1 and 2, properly pushing in. He's down already by a 10th at the exit onto the back straightaway, so a little bit down here, and he's losing time already by the halfway stage of the backstretch. 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, and it becomes 2. This is not going to be anywhere near the top 10. So Burton is safely through.
Yeah, he's not going to make up 2.5 tenths in one corner here, Wallace. So this is a major result for the Wood brothers and Harrison Burton. He's going to go for the pole of the Daytona 500 as Darrell Wallace Jr. We'll see where he slots in as he crosses the line. And the struggles of the Toyota Brigade continues here as Wallace... Where in the world is Wallace?
Last on my monitor, is that correct? No, 28th.
Oh, not much better.
Hasn't actually updated on my screen as well. It's just, oh, there we go, up to 28th now.
Wow. That's a massive result for Harrison Burton. So the 10 drivers that are going to go through to run for the pole: Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, Austin Dillon, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Michael McDowell, Austin Cindric, Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, and Harrison Burton. Those 10 will run for the pole, and they will go out in reverse order of how they qualified in the first round. So Burton was 10th fastest. He will go out first. Chastain was 9th fastest. He'll go out second, and so on, all the way to Joey Logano. Logano, a surprising winner of that first round, if you will, the only car to exceed 181 miles an hour in the first round. What a run for the Team Penske Ford.
Fantastic run. I've got this feeling as well that we were going to see something special, and that's it. We've got a Ford on top, 4 Chevys just behind, and it's McDowell taking in 5th with Cindric in 6th. What are we going to see in this one? Pressure's on now. Another 1 lap, and then one mistake. Will we see a crash? That's always the thing, isn't it, in qualifying? Who's going to risk it with untested machinery as well? But tomorrow, that's when it's going to be fun.
I'll tell you one thing we're not going to see in this final round is a Toyota. Shut out completely from making the top 10 shootout. They were nowhere close. Who ended up as the fastest Toyota? Was it Eric Jones? Yeah, it was. It was Eric Jones in 22nd. My goodness.
And then after that, it's Martin Truex Jr. in 26th, Bubba Wallace, and then Ty Gibbs in 28th and 29th, Christopher Bell's 32nd. Then it's a run with Denny Hamlin in 34, Jimmy Johnson 35, Tyler Reddick is 36, and John Hunter Nemechek down in 39th as the last Toyota driver. That's insane. Apparently, we've got another 1,000 laps to do. The timing tower should tick down to stage 3, 998 laps. No, thank you. That's how many? What, 200 miles? 2, 4, 1,000, 2,000. About 2,500 miles of Daytona. It takes us long enough to do this, so no, thank you again. There we go. Timing tower's reset. I'm hoping we're going to have some interviews that we can throw down to, so we don't have to talk for 10 minutes out of nothing.
Yeah, I would be pretty confident in saying we likely will hear from some drivers. Here we go.
What's it going to take for you to go out there and do it again?
Honestly, I feel like our Exalta Chevy was really fast there. It's really tight between the top 8 really. So it looks like there's room to improve for me. You know, I felt like out there, I felt like my line could be a little bit better, and I felt like I just wasn't super clean with my launch. So I think there's a little bit on my end that I could do better, and I feel like if we put all those things together and hopefully pick up a little bit in the second round, hopefully we're on the front row. It'd be nice to sleep easy tonight and be able to go into tomorrow's duel and not have to worry so much about the result for Sunday. So we'll see. Car looks beautiful, so always have great paint schemes with Exalta, so excited for the week here and ready to get the season going.
William Byron looking to keep the front row streak going for Hendrick Motorsports, Jamie.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but Jimmy Johnson must race his way into the Daytona 500 tomorrow night. Jimmy, what was going on during that run?
It's so hard to tell. I know that last year in qualifying in this new package, the car turns a lot less RPM, and it was very difficult for me to know if it was a good lap or not. And I had that confusion again this year, but sadly, it wasn't fast enough to get us in. We've worked really hard over the offseason, and this isn't what we had hoped for coming down here. Eric ran a respectable lap, so I think it's in there. It's just, just a lot of new elements coming together, and we'll work hard to race our way in tomorrow. It's not a position I wanted to be in, but it is what it is, and we'll do all that we can with this Toyota Camry.
All right, we'll see you in the duels tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Right, there we go. Top 10. Go in. Go, Matthew.
I'll say this about Jimmy Johnson. It's very shocking for us all to see that he's not locked in. There are multiple roads, however, to him making the race tomorrow night. He can either be the highest finishing open driver in his qualifying race, or he can also, if David Reagan or Anthony Alfredo races their way in through the race tomorrow night, they're already in on speed, but if they race their way in, it would go back down to the next fastest open car, which is Jimmy Johnson. So Jimmy, he's got two ways he can get his way into this race, but even though it feels like it's a foregone conclusion that he's going to be in it, I just remind you, these qualifying races tomorrow is going to be a totally different kettle of fish. You're going to have 21 cars in a big draft. We haven't set a lap of practice in a draft. We don't know how these cars are going to react. And it never fails. In one of these races tomorrow night, someone will make a mistake or someone will push it too hard in the draft, and they will cause an accident that will sweep up multiple other cars, as happens on these super speedways. And if Jimmy is in that crash, he could miss out completely on the Daytona 500, which would be stunning to think that Jimmy Johnson entered the 500 but could not make it, but it could very well happen.
I did get a couple of emails from people I've been talking to in the NASCAR world about things as well when I was getting all the new passes and all that lot in the media login. And they said, good luck. It's never good when a new broadcaster comes in at the Daytona 500. And thinking about it, they're absolutely right. So it's never good news. Something shocking and dramatic always rocks up and happens. So we'll keep a close eye on all of this. But I would be appalled if Jimmy Johnson doesn't get through. I think, yes, he had problems in IndyCar, but he was still good in IndyCar on the ovals. I mean, it's that stat that you told me all those years ago, that in his entire career, he's only ever won one race on a road course. He is an oval specialist. So he'll race his way in. He's got that knack. I've got confidence in him.
We'll see if he can do it. Not to mention, if for any other reason, Jimmy Johnson being in the 500 would be absolutely historic. Only because it would be the first time ever that we've had a driver in the Hall of Fame also running a race.
Oh, yeah.
That's never happened before, but of course Jimmy was inducted into the Hall of Fame just a month ago in January, and of course, normally when you go into the Hall of Fame, it's a retired driver. So we've never had that happen before, so that would be historic if Jimmy makes it.
I'm certainly, by the way, tuning into this, even though I live in the UK, the I Am Kevin Harvick, that's on tomorrow as well. I'm tuning in to have a look at that. And surprisingly, it's because it's 2:30 and everybody stopped using the internet. We've got HD pictures back again in the commentary box, so that's good. Speed week beginning. So, who's out first? Ross Chastain, is it? Yeah.
Let's see. Is yes, Ross, in inverse order of how they were in the first round. So actually, no, it's not Ross. That would mean it's Harrison Burton who will go first. Then Chastain, then Busch, then Cindric, then McDowell.
They haven't got the order correct on the timing monitors then, which is annoying. I'm still learning, by the way. You're looking at the Timing 71 page on the YouTube stream, which is what we had open, because if I could, I would, but we're not allowed. I was strictly told we're not allowed to show the NASCAR timing pages, the pure timing pages that we have access to up in the box, which is about 7 different pages. I've got the qualifying tab open. I don't know if you've got the same one, Matthew, as well. But yeah. Oh, you do good. But they are so good, and that's what I've been looking at throughout the broadcast as well, keeping an eye on it. But yeah, so Timing 71 for the YouTube. We've got the actual media logins with it all. And hopefully, as well, during the race tomorrow, we'll be able to hear on the scanners and the spotters and all that lot, and get all that working. Yes, hopefully.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait for those qualifying races tomorrow. That's again just a tradition that has gone on for over 6 decades now, to set the field for the 500, and it used to be the most exciting day of speed weeks outside of the 500. And I suppose I can go into this story while we're just waiting for cars to hit the track. I don't know why this takes so long. It happens every year. The break between the first round and the second round takes forever. The 10 cars are already on pit road. Just line them up and send them out. Anyway, while we're waiting, I suppose I can tell this story. We used to have a very convoluted way of setting the field for the 500. We would qualify. We would set the front row starting spots, then we would run the qualifying races, and there was no one was technically locked in to the field except whoever qualified on the front row, and then the defending series champion, because if they needed to, they had a past champions provisional. But it was free game. Anyone could make it, anyone could miss it. Back pre-2005. Then 2005 comes in, NASCAR set a rule, a top 35 rule is what we call it, and the top 35 from the previous year's owners' points were locked into the field. That took a good amount of steam and drama of those qualifying races. Now we have the charter system, and that's taken even more sting out of the qualifying races because you have 34 locked in, and then have many others outside of them trying to make the field. So it's a process we still go through, but it's not nearly as exciting as it once was before we started locking people into the field based on previous year's result, which leads me to just say, as we're about to have Harrison Burton on the track, which leads me to say, Josh, if anyone in the upper offices at IndyCar and in Indianapolis are listening, I'm pleading you, please do not give guaranteed starting spots to anybody in the Indianapolis 500. Please.
Yeah,
we don't need it. It's unnecessary. It would cut out all the drama and prestige of qualifying weekend at Indianapolis. Please, for the sake of all things good and holy, do not do that.
I agree with you, because we didn't have a bump day, did we, a couple of years ago? And everyone was like, "Oh, this is a bit boring, really, isn't it?" Yeah, you need the threat that you're not going to make it.
Yes. Anyhow, through that soliloquy, first car on the track. This is the run for the pole, and it is Harrison Burton, who was 10th fastest in round 1. For the Wood Brothers still looking for that milestone 100th win as a team. The last time they did it was Pocono with Ryan Blaney. Their 98th win was the Daytona 500 in 2011 with Trevor Bayne as a rookie.
It is proporting like crazy, but the first time is on the board now, and it is a 49.909 for Burton. That's the first run. Next up, Ross Chastain.
Burton went 6/1000ths of a second slower than his first run. The question is, how many of these cars will go faster than their first round speed? Because they got the cars all up to temps and heated up and everything like that. Now you've cooled them down for a small amount of time. Now you're starting them back up. Who can go faster from first round to second? Burton basically mirrored his first round time. Let's see what Ross Chastain does here in the new look Busch Light Chevrolet. He is halfway down the back straightaway, and he's about 8/100ths faster than Burton on the timing screen.
As Matthew's been saying, the top two automatically locked in. Chastain flicks it in to turns 3 and 4, gets it ahead clearly by Burton. So are we going to go into a 48? Fingers crossed. I held my breath there. I'm still holding my breath. Across the line, 49.756. Well, we knew that was going to happen, didn't we?
We did, didn't we? Yeah. So 49.756. So Chastain did go faster by almost a full tenth of a second. So that's good news for Ross Chastain, and that's good news for other Chevrolets, that he went faster by nearly a tenth of a second. So that's good news for them. Now let's see what another Chevrolet does. This is Kyle Busch.
Is this to start a run? Yes, it is. Cross the line. Now he's there. Now look, we've got all of them open now. So it looks like it's 3 wide on the braking zone in towards turns 1 and 2. So Busch currently ahead by 9 thousandths of a second, now 10,000 as well. Really pushing it hard.
That's brand new. They've never done that with the Ghost car before, having all 3 of them up there. That's new. Good on Fox. But Busch just tracking, 2/100ths of a second clear of Chastain. Now it's so close. When it gets this close, the Ghost car, the machine will glitch a little bit because it's so close. But here is Busch. First ran this race back in 2005 with Hendrick Motorsports. Here he is coming to the line.
And it is a 49.725. Puts it off by 31 thousandths of a second.
So that 49.725 is about 8/100ths of a second faster than his first round run. That's basically what Ross did. He went 8/100ths faster. So these Chevrolets are picking up speed from their first lap. The Ford of Harrison Burton did not. Let's see what this Ford does. It's Austin Cindric and the number 2 for Team Penske off into the west banking.
Should be quite good as they fly it through down the inside. Oh, it's looking super stick, isn't it, for Cindric as well? He's clearly changed something in the 10-minute break. 37 thousandths up at the moment, towing Busch. But now look at that. The wind's starting to hit the car. The rear stepping out just a little bit. It's not entirely good for Cindric. Has he backed out of that? No, he hasn't. He's still got his foot down. Just looked like he was offline a little bit.
He needs to pick up about 7/100ths from his first run to eclipse Busch, and he might just do it. Here he comes up out of turn number 4, checkered flag in front of him, and the former winner of the Daytona 500, Austin Cindric, has just gone to the top of the board in qualifying. What a run for Cindric, 49.667. He picked up over a tenth of a second from his first round run.
Fantastic time, 49.667 as you say. Ahead then as well by 58 thousandths of a second. Now we're going to see Michael McDowell start his lap time run as he comes out of the last 2 corners. Sorry, into the first 2 corners. Looking good.
So you got a Ford, Chevy, Ford from the top 4. Again, those are the only 2 makes in this final round. Toyota did not make it. And let's see what this 34 of Michael McDowell can do. Again, new Fords, the new Dark Horse Mustang. Again, I just love that name. And McDowell is starting to stretch it out on Cindric. He's almost a tenth of a second clear in turn 4. He is a tenth of a second clear.
Surely not. We're going to see this from McDowell. Surely not. The computer is predicting it. It keeps saying first. It's been saying first for a long, long time. Surely it can't be right across it. It is right. 49.536 for Michael McDowell. I don't believe it.
It was 1.3 tenths faster than Cindric. That's a massive number for Front Row Motorsports and Michael McDowell. Now here's one of the 3 Hendrick cars. Remember, Hendrick has sat on the pole in 8 of the last 9 500s. Chase Elliott's on the clock.
Elliott down through 1 and 2. Looks good as well. He's just in the same bracket as well. In fact, he's losing time to Elliott. What's he going to get to McDowell? What's he going to get to the first 2 corners? Oh, it's looking unsteady. I think Chase nearly lost it as well. He was jumping with the wheel through turns 1 and 2. It's cost him literally just a fraction. Now look at that, down the back straight. It's costing him, dropping now to a tenth of a second.
Well, it's again surprising just from what Hendrick has done in qualifying basically the last decade, but he's not making up a tenth of a second in one corner, Chase Elliott. So Michael McDowell, I think he is well and truly in the mix for a front row starting spot as Elliott staggers towards the line. He's going to slot in 3rd fastest in the Napa number 9.
Remember, the top two locked in, and after that, hang on a minute, that's the 34 going a bit slow down there. That's Michael McDowell finally coming in. Here is William Byron starting his run around on the lap time. The top two locked in, that's the front row decided. After that, it's odd numbers in duel 1, even numbers in duel 2.
Byron, 2019 pole winner of the Daytona 500, going to work. Goes into the west bank of turn 1. The Exalta Chevrolet new look on that 24 car. This is a big bullet for Michael McDowell to dodge. What a story it would be if Michael McDowell started on the front row of the Daytona 500, and his chances are getting better and better. Byron is losing steam down the super stretch. He goes into turn 3 a tenth of a second off McDowell's pace.
This is absolutely disastrous for Byron as well, and everybody else running, because that means the track's getting slower. They can't seem to find the time like they did earlier on. McDowell might have just taken possibly pole position. Byron's time across the line only good enough. Where is it? 4th on the monitor. 4th fastest. 49.676. Didn't even appear on my side.
And now it'll be Austin Dillon. We're down to 3 cars left here. So if Dillon cannot beat McDowell, McDowell will only have 2 more bullets to dodge, and those would be Joey Logano and Kyle Larson, as Dillon is now on the clock.
And he's slower.
Yeah, he was slow right as he came across the line, at least off the pace, not terribly slow. He's a former pole winner of the Daytona 500, Austin Dillon. He did it as a rookie in 2014. He's off turn 2, and this does not look to be a run that's going to compete for the pole. He's a tenth of a second off of McDowell heading into 3.
Don't like this at all. This is interesting. 10th is still now just shy of 1.5, so that's going to put him a little bit off the pace, but well, I don't know what to say about Austin Dillon as he comes across the line. It started so well, it ends halfway, P5 out of the 10. And Michael McDowell's happy, but he's got, as you say, another bullet.
Michael McDowell has never won a pole in his NASCAR Cup Series career. If he wins this pole, this is an unbelievable result. But these are the 2 biggest bullets to dodge. The fastest 2 from the first round. Larson along with Logano, and Larson heads into turn 1, just about dead even with McDowell here.
And he's losing time through turn 1 and 2 as well by 0.07 of a second. Surely, as soon as it goes red, you're not going to get that time back. They are so close, 0.10 of a second. It went red. I can't see this time coming back. It could be McDowell on the front row of the grid, but into 3 and 4, anything can happen, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, Larson went into 3 about 100th of a second. It's coming back. It's coming back for Larson. He comes off turn 4. It is so close coming to the line. Is he going to eclipse McDowell or not?
No!
It hasn't happened.
It's P2 for Kyle Larson by 14,000 of a second. Michael McDowell will start the Daytona 500 on the front row of the grid. But can he hold off Joey Logano? That's the question. For one more time, it's green flag, and Joey Logano has 2.5 miles to try and secure pole position for the 66th Daytona 500. He's up.
Former winner of 500, and this is looking good into turn 1. He's built up enough of a gap here.
This is good down the back straightaway as well. 35,000th. He's not losing time. He's gaining time. I think Michael McDowell knows that he's not going to get it, but this 22 car has looked absolutely on it throughout today's speed runs. Into the turn 3 and 4. It's just gaining speed. It's like it's being got an electric neutron force coming in towards the line. Matthew, is it pole position or not?
He has never won a pole on a super speedway in his Cup Series career. That's about to change right here. Checkered flag in the air. Joey Logano of Middletown, Connecticut has won the pole for the 66th Daytona 500. He eclipses McDowell by 7/100ths of a second. Ford has locked out the front row with Logano and McDowell, but the pole goes to Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe for Team Penske.
The captain cannot have any better atmosphere. It just gets better and better. Joey Logano, by 71 thousandths of a second, has pole position for the 66th Daytona 500. Michael McDowell starts on the front row of the grid, and then after that, anything is up for grabs as we'll have to go dueling to decide the running orders 3 down. Remember, odd numbers go in duel 1, even numbers go out in duel 2.
What an incredibly surprising session. For the last decade, it's been all Chevrolet, all Hendrick Motorsports, and it's Ford that locks them out of the front row. That's the first win of the pole for the Daytona 500 for Ford since 2012 when Carl Edwards did it.
I don't know if Fox have gone off air immediately because they just showed a college basketball game as coming up next. So they are running half an hour behind schedule, so I'm not really surprised.
They should stay with us to give us the starting lineups for the dual races, and of course, if we get them, we will give it to you before we sign off here. The lineup for the dual races. So, wow, what a night for Ford. That's an enormous night for Ford to lock out the front row. Again, it's been 12 years since they won the pole for this race. That was 2 generations of car ago. Last time Ford won the pole for the 500. And again, like I said, it's the first time that Joey Logano's ever won a pole for a super speedway race. He had never won a Talladega or Daytona pole in his career.
He's just
he was dominating, fastest in both rounds.
What a run. In fact, my time at screen froze with Michael McDowell on pole position, so I think you might want to keep it like that. It didn't classify the last 4 runners, but the timing 71 one did, so that's something, I suppose. But what a run. So it's Logano and McDowell going through. So in duel 1, it's going to be Larson, Elliott, Dillon, and Chastain from the top 10. And then in duel 2, it's going to be Cindric, followed by Byron and Bush and Burton. That's for the top 10 at least. So it's going to get confusing, isn't it, with the odds in duel 1, evens in duel 2. It sounds easy, but it gets very complicated.
I promise you, it gets easier as we carry on. As you do this more years, it's second nature. You only do it once a year, but it becomes second nature, I do promise.
I look forward to 2025 Daytona qualifying as well. Whew, maybe not at 3 a.m. in the morning. What time is it? It's 3 a.m. over here as well. I woke up at 7 a.m., by the way, for a McLaren launch that was 39 seconds long. So I've been up about 19 hours, and I don't feel tired. That's how bad my sleep deprivation is. Oh, here we go. No, it's just some music.
Yeah, Jamie's trying to chase him. Come on, Jamie.
Run.
He's hustling.
Is she covering up? Oh, here we go.
Team guys in the car into victory lane. Joey, you've done a lot in your career, but you've never won the pole for the Daytona 500. What does this mean to you, to your crew chief, Paul Wolfe, and this organization with this new model, by the way?
Yeah, this is all about the team. Honestly, and I'd like to take credit, but I can't today. The guys have done such an amazing job working on these cars, and the super speedway qualifying is 100% the car. There's only so much a driver can do, so I'm really proud of them. That's a big win for our team, for everyone at Team Penske. Ford with a new Dark Horse Mustang, being able to come down here and put it on the pin and finally someone else wins the pole here. That part feels good. So I've never even been close to a super speedway pole before. So it's my first pole on a speedway. Couldn't be at a cooler event, obviously at Daytona 500. So proud of the team. Can't thank everybody enough. Shell, Pennzoil, Hunt Brothers Pizza, AAA, everybody that supports this number 22 car. Huge deal for Team Penske.
All right, Joey Logano, your pole sitter for the Daytona 500.
Wow. Oh, is this the grid? Over to you, Matthew.
So, qualifying race number 1, we'll have Joey Logano and Kyle Larson on the front row. Chase Elliott and Austin Dillon will line up in row 2. Row 3, it's Ross Chastain and Todd Gilliland. Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher in row 4. Alex Bowman is in row 5 with Daniel Suarez. Anthony Alfredo will be in row 6 with an open car. Then in row 7, Eric Jones and Daniel Hemrick. A brace of Toyotas in row 8, Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Corey LaJoie in row 9. Row 10 is Jimmy Johnson and Tyler Reddick. Carson Hocevar and J.J. Yaley will be in row 11. That will be the lineup of the first qualifying race. Then the second, we'll have Michael McDowell and Austin Cindric on the front row. William Byron and Kyle Busch in row 2. Then Harrison Burton and Riley Herbst. Chase Briscoe and Noah Gragson. Ryan Blaney and A.J. Allmendinger. Josh Berry will be in row 6 with another open car. Row 7, Brad Keselowski and David Reagan. Row 8, Darrell Wallace Jr. and Justin Haley. Bell and Hamlin, teammates in row 9. Zane Smith and John Hunter Nemechek will be in row 10 in the second qualifying race. And the final row, as I missed it, was B.J. McLeod and Kaz Gralla. My apologies. And that will be the starting grid for the 2 qualifying races tomorrow night.
I can't wait for this. It's shaping up to be a great 500, and we're still, 4 days away from it. Bring it on. So, dueling tomorrow. That's going to... I've literally just thrown my pen, and it's ended up... I didn't even mean to. It's now under the desk of the commentary box, so I've got...
I did that earlier, about halfway through the first round. I threw it randomly, and...
Yeah, it just flies out your hand, doesn't it? It's really annoying because you fiddle with it. Anyway, back to the... Yeah, I'm looking forward to these duels as well. Right. I'll sign off on JB, then you can sign off on USON as well to give, because I know you've got your procedures to go through. So for everyone watching on JB Motorsports, thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. we've got the Red Bull RB20 launch. It proves to be very interesting as well, with everything about Christian Horner, if he's going to be at the launch or not. So we will be... having our watch-along coverage of that tomorrow and showing the launch itself as we always can during this time. And then in the evening, we'll be ready for the duels as well, live at the same time as USON. Myself and Matthew will be on the call, and the Grid live pre-race show on Grid Network just before that, an hour before the duels. Thanks to everybody watching on JB Motorsports and USON. Matthew's still got USON to sign off, so stay with us on there. On YouTube, thank you very much. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.